Week 7 of the 2025 NFL season is officially in the books, and boy, do we have some bangers to talk about. So in today's video, I want to go over every single game of week number 7 of the 2025 NFL season. Subscribe and like the video if you do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with our Thursday night football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. They call this one the Icy Hot Bowl, the Battle of the Unks, whatever you want to call it. This game had two of some of the oldest quarterbacks in the NFL, with Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers having a combined age of 82 or 83 years old. We're talking about some dudes that have seen a lot of shit in their life. They've seen all sorts of coverages. They've seen all sorts of players. And you could kind of see that one in this game where it felt like both quarterbacks always had the answers. Let's start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things here, because early on it felt like they were going to run away with this football game. They were up 10-0, and then of course they give the ball back to Cincinnati on back-to-back interceptions, and Cincinnati was able to convert and put together drives. They had a 10-play 72-yard drive before the two interceptions. Then after the interceptions, a 3-play 76-yard drive, and then a 6-play 39-yard drive that both ended up in touchdowns. That right there gave all the momentum to Cincinnati. It felt like at first they were kind of doubting themselves in a way, trying to figure things out. Then you had the back-to-back picks that really turned the game sideways for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Outside of the interceptions, I thought Rodgers had a very, very good day. I also thought Jaylen Warren had a nice day too. Pat Freiermuth had 111 receiving yards. There was a lot of bright spots for Pittsburgh, but there's also some negatives here. That defense got absolutely diced up by Joe Flacco. And this has been a Bengals team that has not been able to run the football, but Chase Brown was able to run the football very effectively, 11 carries for 108 yards. That's got to be cleaned up. TJ Watt was basically non-existent out there. I think I heard a stat that he had 2 pressures on 40 rush attempts. Again, that number could be skewed or wrong a little bit, but it was something crazy like that. He just did not make an impact out there. And we're starting to see the cracks of a 30-year-old Jalen Ramsey. This defense is not playing good enough football, and against a team that has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I guess Chase Brown now, they got exposed. As for Cincinnati, this game can give you a little bit of some hope and optimism moving forward. If you win this next week, you're going to be at 500, and then you're going to be counting down the weeks until you get back Joe Burrow. Again, the goal has to be, can we be 500 or above when Burrow returns? Because if Burrow returns with 4 to 5 games left on the schedule, that at least gives you a chance down the stretch to put together some wins that can potentially put you into a playoff spot. Again, we're forward thinking here. It's just one game, but a huge victory for Cincinnati. Next up, let's talk about our game that was overseas. The LA Rams going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not a ton to talk about here. The Rams put belt to ass for most of the day. Stafford with a total of 5 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, I think, was the recipient of 2 of those. They passed the ball, and I'm going to read off every single name. Here, how many guys got a pass today in this game? Colby Parkinson, Adams, Ferguson, Higbee, Xavier Smith, Kyron Williams, Jordan Whittington, Blake Corum, Kenoda Mumfield, and Davis Allen. I don't know how many that is, but real quickly, 10 different guys caught a pass today. And we saw basically a split backfield of Blake Corum getting 12 carries and Kyron Williams getting 12 carries. This game got away from Jacksonville, so LA was able to kind of empty out their benches. This is a really disappointing game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You enter into the game with the same record as the LA Rams and a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, and you put out there a big old stinker. Trevor Lawrence was not great out there today. Brian Thomas Jr. had several drops, and that has been a huge issue for him so far this year. If this Jaguars team wants to be an efficient offense, they have to play better than that. They have to play more efficiently. They have to make sure that when opportunities are available, they take full advantage of that. You can only put so much blame on the head coach and Trevor Lawrence. A lot of it has to go on other guys for not executing. And this defense that has played very well so far this year had by far their worst game of the season, giving up 35 points and 21 points in the first half. So rough day all in all for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is one of those games where you burn the tape and just look forward to the next week. The good news for the Jaguars is their schedule for the foreseeable future is really not too difficult. You got the Raiders this next week, then you got the Texans. You have some tough matchups moving forward with the Colts, the Denver Broncos, and then the Chargers. But for the most part, this is a pretty manageable schedule for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So just handle your business. Again, burn the tape, forget what happened, but make sure you learn from your mistakes. As for LA, really good win. Next up, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the Minnesota Vikings 28-22. This was a very fun game, and it was a game in which both offenses kind of went back and forth. This was sort of a boxing match where the Eagles got up a little bit earlier, 14-6 at halftime, and then eventually the Minnesota Vikings started to piece things together, but They were trailing the entire time. It's like a boxer who loses the first 5 rounds and then wins the next 3, but then they're scratching from behind because they're basically having to go flawless the rest of the game. It's kind of what happened here, where early on, Philadelphia was on their P's and Q's, whereas Minnesota made some mistakes. Wentz had 2 interceptions. Both were really costly ones at that. And as the game went along, Minnesota found their footing and started to play really good and actually made some really nice plays down the stretch to get them close to potentially taking a lead or tying the game up. But whenever they had opportunities to either cut into the lead or to make a play or to get a stop to get the offense back to football, or even when the offense had the chance to go out there and maybe take a lead, they just could never convert. It was a game of missed opportunities, which has kind of been the story for a lot of these Eagles games, where Philadelphia will get a lead and then slowly but surely that other team will crawl back into it, but they just can't take advantage of all the opportunities. It's kind of what happened when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went against them, and we've seen a couple other teams do the same thing, like the Dallas Cowboys in week 1. It's kind of what happened here. I'll give Philadelphia some credit. They did a lot of really good things on the offensive end. Jalen Hurts, 19 of 23 for 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. We saw A.J. Brown have a great game. Devontae Smith have a great game. Dallas Goedert was awfully quiet, but I think that's a fine thing when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Adams combining for over 300 total yards. So that's really nice. Also 3 touchdowns for those 2 as well. So really positive stuff there. Saquon is still completely getting bottled up, and I thought that was something they could potentially exploit in this game because Minnesota has been vulnerable to the run. Didn't quite get that in this one, but again, you're just hoping it'll pick up at some point. Obviously, very positive stuff here for Philadelphia. As for Minnesota, I mean, look, you don't know who your quarterback is, and that's a huge red flag. I think Carson Wentz did some fine things out there, but I don't think he's the solution. At some point, McCarthy will have to step in there, and he has to play well. He has a good supporting cast. That team is getting better on the offensive end, and they got a good defense too that can make some plays. They just got to figure out who their starting quarterback is, and I think once that quarterback plays well, this Vikings team will also play well. But if they don't get a quarterback to step in there and play well, could be a long season for Minnesota. Next up, let's talk about the New England Patriots and Mike Vrabel going over to Tennessee and playing the Tennessee Titans. Yes, I mentioned Mike Vrabel there. This is a big game for Mike Vrabel. Obviously, he was the former Titans head coach, led them to multiple playoffs, and then got let go of in sort of a weird fashion where he had all this success and he has like 1 or 2 not so great seasons, and they're just going to let go of him despite the fact that he is coaching and, elevating the talent of poor rosters. That is a whole side story. But heading into this game, New England has had a ton of confidence, and they have a little bit of some extra motivation here to potentially beat up on the Tennessee Titans. And I'll give some credit to the Tennessee Titans. They came to play in that first half. They scored 13 points, and they were making some plays. They were up 10-3 after the first quarter. Cam Ward had a nice touchdown pass on a crossing route, or I believe it was a crossing route, and they did some nice things. But as the game wore on, you started to see the Patriots make plays. Drake May was, again, spectacular today. Ramondre Stevenson also had a very good game, and the defense absolutely balled out in the second half. I mean, they made multiple havoc plays out there. They had 5 sacks, got an interception. They had a fumble as well, I believe. I think they had a touchdown as well at some point on the defensive side. So just all in all, a really positive day for this Patriots defense and a positive day for Mike Vrabel. Anytime you can get revenge on a team that fired you for reasons that were kind of stupid in the first place, it always feels good. And let's be honest, if you're a Titans fan, you're probably pretty pissed off at your franchise for not keeping that dude Mike Vrabel, because he brought you to relevancy in the first place. Now he's bringing back the Patriots to relevancy, and he was your former head coach. So really bad look for the Tennessee Titans. Also, rough day for Cam Ward, too. Outside of that first couple drives, he had a rough day out there. Next up, let's talk about Carolina Panthers winning against the New York Jets 13-6. This was a very boring game. If I'm going to be honest with you, this was probably one of the more boring games, at least of the games that were not blowouts. Let's talk about the Jets first. They're 0-7. They just benched Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor stepped in and played arguably just as bad, if not maybe even worse than Justin Fields. Although, frankly, the bar is not too high. Tyrod Taylor went out there 10 of 22 for 126 and 2 interceptions. Justin Fields, 6 of 12 for 46 yards. He also ran the ball for four attempts for 22 yards. They didn't run the football well. Breece Hall, 11 for 38. Outside of, I guess, Tyler Johnson, it was a really quiet day from all the other weapons out there. This Jets team just stinks. And it kind of sucks because this Jets defense has actually started to make a couple plays out there. I mean, they held Carolina to 13 points and gave their offense plenty of opportunities to go out there and, put together a drive to tie the game up or to win the game. But this offense is just so inept and horrible that they couldn't do it at all. Now, on the Carolina Panthers side of things, I mean, you got to win, which is always a positive. And Xavier Legette had a very, very nice day out there. 9 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. Bryce Young got banged up, so hopefully he's fine moving forward. We saw Andy Dalton step in, and he did his thing. He did his job. We also got, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. Chuba clearly is the veteran of the room, and it's pretty clear that he is like the favorite for the head coach. But Rico Dowdle just seems to be the better running back. So it's going to probably be a situation where Chuba takes the first couple carries, and then Rico gets more involved as the game goes along, just because of the veteran experience of Chuba Hubbard and the leadership he brings. But when Rico got the ball, he did make a couple things happen. So I definitely think he has to be a huge part of the game plan moving forward for Carolina. But yeah, I mean, that's 3 games in a row for Carolina. They're now 4-3 and have a plus 500 record, which is a huge sign for this team moving forward. And man, it's got to feel good for Dave Canales because he needed this run to happen if he wanted to keep his job. And for now, he looks pretty safe. Next up, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins getting absolutely smoked 31-6 by the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to spend a lot of time here on Miami, but I just briefly want to talk about the Cleveland Browns real quick. Did Dylan Gabriel cook? No, he did his part. 13 of 18 for 116. It was as much of a game plan of just get the ball to Quinshon Judkins over and over again and let him cook. And Quinshon did a really good job. 25 carries, 84 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was a defensive clinic, though, from the Cleveland Browns. An absolute defensive clinic. Cleveland sacked Tua 4 times. They forced them to 1-13 on third down. They had 3 interceptions. They had 1 fumble recovered. I mean, they absolutely decimated the Dolphins offense. So shout out to Myles Garrett. Shout out to all those guys in the defense. They played absolutely well. That's my little piece there on Cleveland. By the way, shout out to Cleveland. Another win. They're 2-5. They're not going to be the number 1 pick. But you know what? They're probably going to have a top 5 pick where they're probably going to take their franchise quarterback. And there's a nice core to build around with that roster. Now let's talk about the really, really, really nasty stuff here with the Miami Dolphins. I think there needs to be a change at quarterback. And I know I'm a Texas fan. You see the hat. You see the banner. You guys know my guy Quinn Ewers is the backup here. I don't know if Quinn's ready. I don't think he's ready. I mean, we saw him go in there and he made a couple plays. He had a nice deep shot on the left side of the field, but, his pocket presence still has a lot of work, and I just think this offense is horrifically bad. But I think you have to send a message if you're Mike McDaniel. I think you do. You can't start Tua Tagovailoa anymore. He was so bad today that it's almost incomprehensible. I get it. The offensive line stinks. I get it. Your team stinks. I know you're pressing. I know you're trying to make big plays. 3 interceptions. 1 was in your own end zone. You had a pick 6. You had multiple plays where you basically single-handedly gifted the Browns free points. And you can blame the defense all you want because that defense for Miami absolutely stinks too. But that defense held Cleveland to just 206 total yards, 4 of 11 on third down. They sacked Dylan Gabriel twice. I mean, the defense kind of did their job in this game against a really bad Browns offense. But Tua, over and over and over again, put their defense in absolutely brutal territory to have to go out there and make plays, and they just couldn't do it because how are they supposed to do it? Again, I'm somebody who is usually pretty sympathetic to quarterbacks that are, your franchise guys that get paid more money. Like I have been somebody who has been beating the drum for Kyler, Dak Prescott through all the ups and downs of his career, et cetera, et cetera. Like I'm usually somebody that says you stick with that guy because it's really hard to find good quarterback play. But when it comes to Tua, he is actively hurting your team. And I think Quinn Ewers, honestly, at the bare minimum, will not have games where he has 3 interceptions. At least I would hope. If that's the case, I don't know. This is a team that just needs a full reset. And I think if they can press that reset button today, I think they would. But I think they're going to wait to the end of the season. I'm expecting a new quarterback, a new head coach, a new GM, and probably just trading everybody away because this team is terrible. It is so unbelievably bad. Next up, let's talk about the Chicago Bears beating the New Orleans Saints 26-14. This was a really rough game for Spencer Rattler. Probably his worst game of maybe his entire career. 3 interceptions. The team also had a fumble loss. He got sacked 4 times, 3 of 10 on third down, 0 of 2 on fourth down, only 16 first downs. A really rough day for Spencer Rattler. In fairness to him, I thought the offensive line played pretty poor. Alvin Kamara, I mean, there was nothing going in the run game. He had to force a lot of things. This game was basically over after the first half because Chicago was playing pretty well. Chicago's now, by the way, 4-2, and they are in the NFC hunt right now. Don't sleep on this Chicago team. Now, this was not a Caleb Williams masterclass. In fact, I kind of felt like Caleb Williams was just sort of a pedestrian out there today. He made a couple nice plays, but 15 of 26 for 172 and 1 interception. Not a huge day out there. But what was a huge thing out there was this freaking run game. Hello, welcome. Run game for Chicago. DeAndre Swift, 19 carries for 124 and a touchdown. My guy, Kyle Monangai, or should I say my podcast co-host guy, Kyle Monangai. Shout out Cade Rathbone. That dude loved Kyle Monangai. But Kyle Monangai, 13 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. Big day running the football. Again, they didn't really have to do a whole bunch passing the football because of how good this rushing attack was today. And that's a really positive sign for them moving forward. They're 4-2, and you know what, dude? With the NFC North looking the way it is, hey, Chicago's in the fold. They are in the fold 100%. Let's see if they can continue to build off of this and not have these highs and lows. Let's see if they can continue to trend upward. As for New Orleans, it felt like a game like this was bound to happen eventually. It is disappointing to see Spencer Rattler revert back and play really bad today. Let's see if he can pick it up next week, because if not, if he has a bad stretch here, I do think eventually you got to throw Shock out there. But it's just one bad game. Let's see if he can recover and play better next week. Next up, let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll keep this one very short and simple here. The Raiders suck. They are a bad football team. And in this game, everything that could have went wrong. Here are these freaking numbers. You want to talk about a one-sided game? Here are these absolutely abysmal, horrifically bad numbers. The Raiders had not 100 yards, 95 total yards on the day. You want to know how many first downs they had? 3 first downs. Pair that with 0-7 on third down, a fumble lost, 8 penalties, 6 punts, 95 total yards in a 60-minute ball game is horrible. You now look at Kansas City, 434 total yards, 282 passing yards, 152 rushing yards, 9 of 15 on third down. Look at the time of possession here, 17 minutes and 52 seconds for Las Vegas, 42 minutes and 8 seconds for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is what you call domination in every way, shape, and form. Patrick Mahomes had an incredible game out there today, 26 of 35 for 286 and 3 touchdowns. Welcome back, Rashee Rice. Every time I think about Rashee Rice, I always think of the off the field stuff, and it's really a shame because he's such a good player. If he can, just stop doing that stuff off the field, he's going to have a very good career. But he had a great game out there, and it's very clear and obvious that when Rice is there, healthy and present, he is the number one of this offense. 7 catches for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's just going to play better. Running the football, they got a couple of things going. They tried Brashard Smith a little bit more in this game. 14 carries for him, 15 carries for Pacheco. Still inefficient. They still got to clean that up. They're not going to be a very good running football team. That's just not what their skill set is suited for. But with Mahomes playing like this, the Chiefs are back. The Chiefs are 100% back. And you look at the AFC, I think right now the Chiefs are probably in the conversation as a Super Bowl contender after how they have been looking these past few weeks. The defense balled out. The offense was incredible. Las Vegas, boy, is it too early to say it's time to clean house? Is it too early to say that again? Because this was such an abysmal showing from this team, and it's an indictment of who you have with your head coach, and it's an indictment of your quarterback. These are supposed to be veteran guys. Geno Smith, Pete Carroll. This stuff should not happen to veterans. It just simply put should not. It's an embarrassment. It's bad. And there needs to be a lot of hard conversations in Las Vegas because this is as low can possibly get for the Las Vegas Raiders. Next up, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts defeating the LA Chargers 38-24. I'm going to put a lot more focus here on the Colts because with the Chargers, they're just injured, man. Their offensive line is banged up. Their running backs are banged up. And that's the bulk of what their offense wants to be. They want to be a team that chews up clock, runs the football down your throat, play action, shots down the field, open up because of the run. Without Amari and Hampton, without the guys on the offensive line, it's tough sledding out there. And in this game, you saw Herbert throw the ball 55 times. That's not what Harbaugh wants to do. And give credit to Herbert. He made some things happen despite running for his life at times. But even Herbert made a few mistakes. He had 2 interceptions. He got sacked a couple times. I mean, there was some mistakes from Herbert in his part. But when you drop back 55 times, you're bound to have a couple bad plays. I mean, this is just not sustainable for LA. They have to get healthy, and they got to find a way to run the football in the absence of some of these guys. And defensively, man, they have just taken a huge step back. Defensively, they got diced up by Indianapolis. Allowed 400 yards. It felt like every time the Colts had the ball in the first half, that thing was going for either a touchdown or a field goal. I mean, it was over and over and over again where they just could not get any stops. So yeah, I mean, LA's got a lot of work to do. But again, I want to focus a bit more on the Colts because with the Chargers, they're just banged up as hell. I put the Colts as my number one team in my power rankings, and this game just continues to prove why I'm going to continue to do that until I get proven otherwise. I had a couple comments saying, well, what have the Colts done to put them at number one? Who have they beaten? They lost to their one big test in the LA Rams. And I was just trying to tell them, like, look, you beat the Denver Broncos. Yes, it was a little fluky at the end with the foul, but you beat them. You should have beat the LA Rams. You have dominant wins over every other team you faced up against. And then you beat the Arizona Cardinals last week. And this week was a big time test for them against a banged up Chargers team that's still very good, still has an above 500 record. They were 4-2 heading into this game. And I get it, they're banged up, but if you win the game, that's all that matters. And in this game, they dominated them from start to finish. This game was really not as close as what the score might indicate it being. I mean, yes, the LA Chargers had chances to cut it into like a one possession game, but it just wasn't that close. The Chargers dominated from start to finish for the most part. Jonathan Taylor is, honestly, he's in my MVP conversation for a reason. 3 touchdowns on the day, 94 rushing yards. Daniel Jones, efficient, not turning the ball over, making plays happen, accurate as hell. He just does not make a ton of mistakes, and it's perfect for this team. All the weapons, Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, again, Jonathan Taylor, they're making things happen, and that's so exciting for this team. They have some issues defensively. They're not a perfect defense. They'll give up some yards. They'll bend and break a couple times, but they do enough. They give their offense chances, and with this offense being as potent as they are, man, if they can just get a couple stops a game, this team is going to find ways to win games. And that's exactly what happened here. This is the number one team in the NFL. They have a 6-1 record, which I think is the best in the NFL, or one of the best. And they've now beaten some really, really good football teams, and their schedule is really not that difficult. Next week, they got the Titans, the Steelers, and then the Falcons. You got that big test versus the Chiefs, but again, outside of that, it's like you got Seattle, you got Jacksonville and Houston are always tough games, but it's really not going to be the hardest thing in the world. I think the Colts are a really good football team, and they are right now 100% a contender. Next up, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers defeating the Arizona Cardinals 27-23. Slow start for the Green Bay Packers, and I mean very slow start. Only 6 points in the first half, 0 in the first. You know, you headed into the fourth quarter with 13 total points, and Jordan Love was not playing a great game. The run game was inefficient. It took some time to get this offense rolling. Give them their flowers, though. When they needed plays to happen, they were able to make the plays necessary. And shout out to my guy, Micah Parsons. As most of you guys know, I am a Cowboys fan. Also, no, I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a Mavericks fan. I know there's a cliche about Cowboys, Lakers. No, I'm a Luka Doncic fan. All right, let's chill out, okay? I'm a Dallas, Texas fan. All right, let's chill out. But I'm happy for my guy, Micah, man. Micah went out there and had himself a day, I think 3 sacks, and kind of was able to seal the game away late with all the pressure he was putting on Jacoby Brissett. Really, really good job by the defense, just holding in there, making plays when it's necessary. I don't think this Packers team is the team that I thought they were after week 2. That team after week 2, I thought was going to win a Super Bowl or going to be in the conversation. I don't think the Packers are there right now unless they can really turn it around. Right now, I look at this Packers team and I say they're a good team, borderline, even maybe a great team. But they're not a team that I think right now would be in my favorites to win a Super Bowl. I think they'll make the playoffs, and I wouldn't be shocked if they made it to a Super Bowl. I think that's totally possible. But I would have a ton of other teams as favorites over them right now. They would not be one of my favorites to win a Super Bowl like they might have been after week 2. This was sort of an ugly game, and it's something that you want to see them continue to win and improve. But at the end of the day, a win is a win, and that's really all that matters in the NFL. Now, on the Cardinals side of things, again, this offense actually was able to move the football. I really do believe this Cardinals offense might be better off with Jacoby Brissett than Kyler Murray. Now, I know Kyler will get the start because he's the guy that gets paid the big bucks, and he can make explosive plays with his legs, and it's Kyler freaking Murray. You drafted the #1 overall. You have to start him, but like, guys, let's be honest. This Cardinals offense has actually shown a little bit of some life in the absence of Kyler Murray. I mean, we're seeing this team. I mean, they just outgained the Packers. And last week, I think they had like 300 or 400 yards against the Colts. You know, you're seeing guys on this team like Trey McBride have huge games out there, 10 catches for 74 yards. And this is without their main running backs. No Trey Benson, of course, no James Conner. Zonovan Knight's their RB1. And yet Jacoby Brissett goes out there 25 of 36 for 279 and 2 touchdowns. Now, he's not the athlete that Kyler Murray is, so I think that's a big reason for why Micah was able to absolutely take over this game at some points, because if you had a Kyler Murray, probably doesn't happen because of his legs. But I don't know. I think as a passer, Jacoby Brissett might just be a better fit within this offense. It also feels like this offense is a little bit more creative when Jacoby Brissett is out there. Like there's more in the playbook they can unlock. than when there is a Kyler Murray. It's just kind of weird, to be honest with you. Again, I don't think they're going to bench Kyler for Jacoby, but I do think it's pretty interesting that Kyler could have returned last week, and he probably should have returned this week, but they decided to sit him out yet again for Jacoby Brissett. I think it's pretty interesting. Regardless, though, I mean, look, they're 2-5. The Cardinals are 2-5, and I think if you want any chance to scrap your way back into a wild card spot, you got to make a decision now as to who your quarterback will be and what gives you the best chance. Again, I think they'll probably pick Kyler Murray. We'll see if that pays off for them. Next up, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys beating the Washington Commanders 44-22. So on the screenshot you guys just saw, it says 2-3-1 for the Cowboys and 3-3 for the Commanders. The Commanders are 3-4. The Dallas Cowboys are now 3-1. Just wanted to make that correction. I saw that as I was recording. However, look, the Dallas Cowboys dominated this football game. From start to finish, they were the better football team. And give credit to the Cowboys defense. We've been giving them a lot of shit on this channel, and not just myself, but everyone has been giving them shit for, rightful reasons. But today, they held their own. They forced some turnovers. We had a pick 6 from Deron Bland, 7 of 16 on third down for Washington, 0 for 2 on fourth down, only 340 yards allowed on the day. And some of that was later in the, in kind of garbage time. So give credit to this Cowboys defense. Now, big caveat here, no Deebo Samuel, no Terry McLaurin. The wide receiver 1 for Washington today was Jalen Lane. And Zach Ertz. So take that as you will. However, look, a win's a win. Cowboys defense played a lot better today. And look, this Cowboys offense is beautiful. It's a chef's kiss. And if this Cowboys defense can force like 2 turnovers a game, they're going to win a lot of football games because Dak Prescott is on absolute fire. Another brilliant game for him. 21 of 30 for 3 touchdowns and 264 yards. A lot of big plays running the football as well. Javonte Williams, 19 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. Pickens had a number of beautiful grabs. CeeDee Lamb, welcome back to the game. Huge touchdown, like a 70-plus yard touchdown. Huge play for him. Jake Ferguson continues to eat up receptions and get multiple touchdowns and does a lot of the dirty work. This is an incredible Cowboys offense. And again, if they can force turnovers, they will win games. I don't think we should count out the Dallas Cowboys quite yet, even though they are a very up and down football team with a bad defense. If I'm Dallas, look, we have a bit of additional draft capital. I might consider trying to make a trade for a potential edge rusher or something in the secondary to at least give my team an opportunity to make a push for a playoff spot. I will say, I don't think I would spend my first round pick. If I can send a second round pick for like a Trey Hendrickson, sure, I would do it, but I'm not going to send a number 1. As for the Commanders side of things, I mean, you're just a banged up football team. Now Jaden Daniels is dealing with an injury, and you really cannot afford to have him miss time. You need to get back McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. Look, you're 3-4, and with the way the NFC is shaping out, there's a lot of good football teams. And as of right now, I don't know if I think Washington's going to make the playoffs, which is kind of a shame because last year they made it to the NFC Championship game and were quite active in free agency this year, despite the fact that I thought they made some silly moves. Still, they were active and made additions to hypothetically be a better football team, but they've regressed significantly, it seems like. And a lot of that, in my opinion, is on Jaden Daniels. I think there's a lot of other reasons for why this team has regressed. They got to figure it out or else they're going to miss the playoffs. Next up, let's talk about the New York Giants losing to the Denver Broncos 33-32. Now, before I start talking about the game, quick correction here. The Giants are 2-5 and the Denver Broncos are 5-2. Now, coming into this game, you have a team in the NFC East and a team in the AFC West. 2 teams that you would never, ever think are feuding or had some sort of bad blood or beef heading into a game. But that's what we had in this game. There was guys talking crap on both sides, mainly the Denver Broncos basically saying that Jackson Dart wasn't that good. And he had Giants and fans and everyone else using the power of aura and swag to kind of go at Denver for a little bit. And for a while there, Denver looked quite stupid. I mean, they looked stupid. 19-0 heading into the fourth quarter and not playing well. The offense was dead the entire game. The defense was doing enough to keep them in it, but still allowed some freak plays to happen. I mean, some of the plays that the Giants were able to score points off of were just insane luck, but luck sometimes is better than skill, and they were able to make the plays necessary, and they also had a couple nice drives as well. So it wasn't all just lucky plays, but a couple of the big plays were pretty dang lucky. But then in the fourth quarter, it was like a switch turned on for the Broncos. And it just was like one drive after another drive after another drive. And then an interception helped your case out too. And the thing is, it's like the Giants weren't just not scoring points. Like, it wasn't like the Giants were just letting this happen to them. They scored 13 points in the fourth quarter alone. When they scored 19 through 3 and then 13 points in the fourth quarter, you would think having a 19-0 lead heading into the fourth, then scoring 13 points, that would be enough to win you the game. But the Broncos just caught fire and made play after play after play on both sides of the field, and they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, the Giants defense was so brilliant for 3 quarters and so bad in the fourth quarter. It is a 4-quarter game for a reason. The Giants only showed up for 3 and the Broncos only showed up for 1, and somehow the Broncos won this game. I mean, this game, unbelievable. And then let's talk about this too. The Giants missed the extra point that allowed the Broncos to win the game late. That simply put cannot happen. I think he actually missed 2 extra points. I don't know who their kicker was. It's a guy that I've never even heard of before. Whoever he is, he should be fired by the end of this game because he cost the game the win here. Worst case scenario, you make that touchdown, you're up by 3. Denver goes down, they kick the field goal. It's a tie game. We head into overtime, and both teams sort of have this weird momentum thing going on. So at the worst, you're going into overtime. He misses the extra point. We're talking about a 15-yard kick. I probably can't hit that, but he gets paid the big bucks to do it. He can't do it. It's insane to me. This was a awesome, fun game. But if I was a Giants fan, I would be sick to my freaking stomach. I would be absolutely sick to my stomach. If I'm a Broncos fan, this game probably made you sick for 3 quarters. But hey, you got to win. And at the end of the day, like I've said a couple times in this video, all that matters is that win in the win column. So I guess you'll take it. But that's going to conclude this video. You guys let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts of this week? What was your favorite game and what was your favorite moment? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.